entire season of racing, an entire year, and it all comes down to this. This is the season finale for the ERSCA PristineAuction.com series. Welcome to Sim TV. My name is Kyle Heyer, joined tonight by Connor Horn for what is the final race of the season in an incredible championship with 1 point separating the points leaders as they come into the night. And we're about to embark on one final journey in Atlanta, Georgia, where NASCAR used to end their season. We will harken back to the days of old tonight on Sim TV. Welcome to Atlanta, Connor. This is a fun racetrack. It's going to be hot and slick out there, as it always is at this racetrack. Your expectations, your thoughts, and your wishes for tonight's event.
I expect a lot of tire fall off. I expect a lot of tire saving to occur. I expect a lot of maybe being banging, trying to get to the bottom line early on. And I wish for maybe a 3-car fight at the finish line for the championship. We got 3 guys within 4 points of each other. Scott Crump leading Chris Wright by that 1 point. Nick Massey 4 points back. Joe Francis, after that win at Talladega, not much going for him. The outsider 13 points back. You never really know. But those 3, like I said, 4 points separated. It's going to be a thriller right to the end.
It really is going to be a good one tonight. We've got lots of action coming up for you right here on Sim TV. I just got back from a 12-hour road trip from Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin this morning. I spent my weekend at Grid Life in Road America. That was an absolute blast, but back ready for some more oval racing here on Sim TV, and looking forward to it tonight at one of the slickest racetracks on the oval circuit, Connor. And this racetrack seems to always be one of the few in iRacing that really exacerbates the multi-groove racing. We've seen it be low, be high, be all over the place, and especially in this Xfinity car, I feel like we can run lines all over the racetrack. Your thoughts on that, and will it change throughout the night?
I'm not sure how much it'll change with the tire that iRacing has on it. It's hard to kind of get that outside line going, but if you save the tires enough compared to the competitors ahead of you, you can definitely make that middle groove possibly work, and maybe even the wall. We'll have to see. But I think at the beginning of this race, people are going to be diving for that white line and trying to stay hooked up to it for the majority of the run, because if you stay hooked up to that white line, you're really going to save the tires and really going to have something for the longer runs here that these drivers hope to get.
We're in Hampton, Georgia, and just outside of Atlanta, and right now the weather is looking a little bit, well, it's comfortable for the fans in the stands, but 114-degree track temp. That is pretty hot as we head into qualifying here. There's Kyle Hanshaw's number 46. And reiterate the point standings for one more time, Connor, so we have a sure understanding of who's got the points lead.
Well, we got a tight one. About 3 drivers got the championship up for grabs. Scott Crump leads by 1 point over Chris Wright. Chris Wright had that win at Martinsville last week, or actually 2 weeks ago, I believe. Unfortunately, we weren't able to stream it, but he led 56 laps en route to that victory. Like I said, Chris Wright 1 point behind Scott Crump for the race lead, and then Nick Massey sitting back there in third, 4 points back. So it's going to be really tight, a really tight finish for this championship.
Kyle Hanshaw crossed the line, and he'll come on through and go 31.484 to the top of the board for now, the first one to put in a lap. As Gerald Campbell comes in, he'll knock Hanshaw off the pole with a 30.995. Checking back through the rest of the field, we'll find out and we'll see where our top 3 championship drivers are on track. Looking for them, Nick Massey is just getting rolling now in the Wingman sports car. We want to especially thank our sponsors, AME Corp, for coming on board and sponsoring the chase this season. Of course, Belly Up Sports, Wingman, ERSCA PristineAuction.com, and it's so many more that have joined us this season to make this a reality. We appreciate your support. On track as well tonight, Liam Sheen, who's been a commentator for the series, got the Sim TV colors on it. That's a great looking livery there, Connor. I'm partial to it, but I dig it.
Oh, he showed it to us last night. It's very beautiful. I'm pretty sure he ran in the league earlier, doing a bit of double duty tonight, looking really sporty in that Supra. Maybe he can put it up front. He's had some good runs in the past. We'll see if he can replicate that tonight, possibly in the last race of the season.
Nick Massey across the line, and this will start his flying lap off into turn number 1. Well over 180 miles an hour through 1 and 2. They're going to climb out of the corner and follow the backstretch wall right up against the fence. And we're going to watch him down the back straightaway into turn number 3, and this is all Nick Massey's race to go for tonight, because he's farther back than Wright or Crump, so he's going to have to not only probably win this race, he's going to have to finish a couple points ahead of Wright and Crump to be able to secure a championship victory tonight. Also, halfway points at lap number 68, so that's going to be important. Massey stops. He didn't think he got a good lap, so he's going to try again. Our other championship competitors, Crump and Wright. Scott Crump is on track right now in the 51.
I think Nick Massey just didn't think he got the run out of 4 he needed for his hot lap, so he's going to go for it again through the turns, try to get a better run. Scott Crump's going to try to get a better run, better lap possibly. Disqualifying is going to be really important to see who gets to track position early on in this one.
To stay in it at the exit of turn number 2 and follow the way along the wall. And I think the fast lap right now is probably going to be around the bottom of the racetrack. Come later in the night, I'm sure the line will move up just a little bit as that bottom line gets too worked in. And Crump comes out of turn number 4 and would have to beat a 30.946. That's what Chuck Sweeting is set atop the standings, 30.926. That will put him P1. Scott Crump to the top of the board in qualifying with a minute and a half left.
And meanwhile, I'm watching Chris Wright right now. Not sure if he's starting his lap or ending it. Coming out of turn number 4 right now, drifts way high, almost into the outside wall, but carries decent speed. 180 up.
Oh, he got it. 30.911. He goes to the top of the board. Chris Wright does. Now, where does Nick Massey run as he comes out of turn number 4? Can he improve on a 30.911? Can he grab pole across the line? 30.898 to the top of the board goes Nick Massey.
You couldn't script it any better. The top 3 right next to each other, but bested by someone else. Tyler Riggs goes to the top of the pylon, a 30.89 on my time sheet right now. So he's going to put those 3 championship contenders behind him, and he's potentially going to have the pole here. Only 30 seconds left.
Josh Adams is starting a flyer as well. I think he might have the speed in that Protect Camaro to jump to the top of the standings in qualifying here. If he's got the time to get around a lap, it's going to be awful close if he can finish this one. 15 seconds left in the session as he heads down the back straight. But Massey, Wright, and Crump all together in reverse order, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th as they are in the standings. 2nd, 3rd, and 4th on the racetrack, and 3rd, 2nd, and 1st in the championship. Qualifying is complete. Will Adams get to complete a lap? No, he will not.
Nope.
Timed it wrong.
He probably had to reset his lap because that was his 2nd lap. He probably had to go again and just ran out of time. He might have been up there, probably would have been up there in the top 5, but he's going to have to climb all the way from 22nd position.
Going to be a long way to go tonight as we set up for the grid here, taking one last look at our weather information. Air temp 79 degrees. Not super humid today, partly cloudy skies, 114 down there on the racetrack. And one more thanks to our sponsors this season, especially AME Corporation, for coming on board for the championship chase here for ERSCA. As we head down to the racetrack here, and in just a moment we'll go over our starting lineup here. 133 laps tonight, Connor. Pit stops, I think you're probably going to be tire limited more than you're fuel limited tonight.
I don't believe there is any tire set limit in this race, but you're definitely going to have to play the strategy correct tonight. If you feel that right front tire wearing way too much, if you're getting too tight center of the corner, you cannot risk blowing a right front tire and lose all that time. You're going to have to be perfect on the tire strategy tonight.
Well, let's go through our starting lineup here on the front row this evening. Going to be Tyler Riggs in the 26 and Nick Massey in the 48.
Then Chris Wright and Scott Crump competing for that championship on the 2nd row. 3rd and 4th, Chuck Sweeting rounding out your top 5 with Harry Grindle right next to him in P6.
And rolling back to row number 4, starting on the inside in 7th place. That is going to be Joe Francis in the number 50. He'll roll off P7. Gerald Campbell starts on the outside in position number 8 in the 31 car.
Joe Francis 13 points out, an outside shot, but he still does have a shot at this championship. Liam Sheen and Tate Lytle are rounding out the top 10, 9th and 10th. Adam Pettit 11th, Kenny Lowry 12th, Kyle D. Lowry P13, and Johnny Thomas is sitting there in 14th.
And back in 15th and 16th, back in row number 8, that will be Zishan Dura in the number 10 and Damian Leininger in the number 12. That'll be 15th and 16th. We'll roll on back to row number 9. That'll be Richard Lafferty in the number 8 and Dylan Thomas in the 03. A pair of Camaros back there, 17th and 18th.
And then back to the end of a top 20, Vincent Isabella and Kyle Hanshaw. Zach Patton, 21st, the last driver to put down a time with a 31.5. Josh Adams, as we said, just barely couldn't get to the line. He sits 22nd. John Eckert, Brandon Key, 23rd and 24th. And rounding out the rest of the field, Marshall Stanley in 25th.
So a 25-car grid here tonight as we head down into turn number 1 for one pace lap before we turn loose for 133 laps. I did math wrong earlier. Halfway will be at lap number 66, coming to 67. It's been a long long day. The only math I was doing was my fuel mileage earlier to see if I could make all the way from Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin to Rochester, New York on 1 tank or 2 tanks of gas with 1 stop in between, and I did. And I had a little left to spare, so I'm pretty happy with my Toyota Corolla's performance out there on the interstate today.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored. But
Not yet.
Not yet. That would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would be
Toyota
perfect.
Corolla. I can have one of those like new age commercials with like a daughter and her dad, and like him tossing the keys.
If only you could get Yusuf and Casey to drive those in Aurora.
That'd be great. I always thought they should advertise the Corolla in the Xfinity series. I'm not sure why they don't.
They could throw it back to a Corolla. Why not?
That would be pretty cool.
Back to one. We gotta stop talking about potential sponsorships. We got a race to get to.
We sure do. As they come out of turn number 4 on the inside of the front row, it's going to be the number 10 car, or excuse me, the number 26 car that'll be out front. That's Tyler Riggs as he comes on through, and a big wheel spin moment for the pole sitter. He's going to slide into the grass, and a chaotic start as he locks up the tires and goes for a spin down into the grass. As we get on down to turn 1, we stay green. Massey out front as they head to the first corner.
We'll have to look out for potential black flags for passing the pace car. Nick Massey got a black flag cleared. He will be your race leader after the 26 messes up the initial start there. Scott Crump almost did the same thing. He was able to save it as they're side by side for, I believe, the 5th position now.
There's Liam Sheen on the bottom of the racetrack in that SimTV number 55 Supra. Underneath, I believe that on the outside is the 70 car. That's Harry Grindle in the 70 car. Then Gerald Campbell behind him in the number 31 for the race lead, though. Nick Massey and Chris Wright, they are 2 of the championship leaders. Massey comes into the night third, 4 points back. Chris Wright is second in the points, 1 point back. The difference is Scott Crump, the points leader, is in 6th right now. As it stands, I think Chris Wright would walk away as the championship winner, but we've got a long way to go.
I believe the race winner gets bonus points unless that's different for the finale. Nick Massey looking in good shape. He's doing everything he can do right now, leading the first few laps of this one. But that 69 machine all over his back bumper while Scott Crump tries to make up for lost time on that bad initial start.
And everyone right now pretty single file, and I imagine we'll see the line kind of extend as the night goes on. But so far, everyone's line astern as they come out of turn number 2 and onto the back straightaway. Speeds well over 180 miles an hour as they get into turn number 3. And how patient is Chris Wright going to be? Is there a rush right now to get to the front?
I don't think so. I think he's just got to focus on saving that right front tire while riding behind the 48 of Nick Massey. But he's looking to the inside. I think he wants that race lead, getting a little bit of a peek there in turn number 1. Gets back in line. Now he dives to the inside. Maybe Nick Massey trying that outside line, or maybe just letting Chris Wright go to the race lead for a little bit.
Yeah, so Chris Wright drops into the top spot as he clears Nick Massey as they come out of turn number 2. Chuck Sweeting back to 3rd. And behind Scott Crump, there's a bit of a train forming there. There's Liam Sheen, Tate Lytle, Gerald Campbell, Adam Pettit, Kenny Lowry, and more. And maybe Crump holding up a line here. Maybe not good speed here in the early laps for Crump on this initial start.
Well, it could be just saving that right front tire. It's so important to save at a track like Atlanta where those tires can wear out so quickly. Tate Lytle doesn't want to stay in line. Dives to the inside of Liam Sheen, almost into the grass, trying to make that move, forcing Liam Sheen to be outside, but that might be the best thing that could have happened for that 55 machine. Look at him rocket on the outside. Yeah,
and the outside lane, again, is only going to get better as the night goes on. Liam Sheen taking early advantage of it. Tate Lytle packed in behind in the number 56 prop meet car. He's got a handful of cars behind him. Gerald Campbell is one of them. We've seen Gerald Campbell be pretty good at everything he's climbed into, whether it's an Indy car, whether it's a modified. Here you look, there's Tate Lytle to the inside left, right on Scott Crump, almost in the dirt down into turn number 1.
Tried the same move last lap, didn't work. Let Liam Sheen get by the 51 before the 56 had a chance. As they're almost going to door out of turn number 2, really tight on exit. You're going to see that as the groove's only really one lane right now. You're going to see a lot of pinching. We might see that go wrong at some point. And Scott Crump going to have to lift a little bit, trying to get a better run on exit to stay on that outside.
Right behind there is Johnny Thomas in the belly up sports car in the number 83. He's following this group of cars that out in the windshield, it looks pretty chaotic. He's about to drive into it though at 186 miles an hour off into turn number 1.
Yeah, he really doesn't want to be in the thick of any of that. Too wide still. It's Gerald Campbell going for the next position as Scott Crump continues to fall. Not what he needs. This is not what he needs. The points leader dropping back, not looking good. Had that 1 point lead going into tonight, but it is dropping and it is fading right now.
Out front, Chris Wright leads Nick Massey by 0.8 of a second. Joe Francis half a second beyond that. The battle right now is about 6th through 10th. They're the ones that are all stacked up as they come across the line to complete lap number 7. There's Gerald Campbell Campbell slotting in line right in front of Adam Pettit in the 57 car, and Pettit's going to push up the hill a little bit out of turn number 2. Tire wear, big issue here at Atlanta, Connor?
Oh, it's definitely going to be a big issue. I kept talking about it. I've already said it probably way too many times, but that right front tire is going to get really worn. You're going to have to be careful of how much you slip up out of these turns. You can be on the white line, and the next thing you know, you're in the outside wall line of a turn with a destroyed right front fender. So it could really kill your race if you're not careful.
So far, so good. It's been pretty orderly for Tyler Riggs. Let's go back to the initial start of the race. There was a lot of trouble for him to get power down, and this restart zone is very slippery. That might be an issue if we have some late race cautions. Drivers getting too aggressive on the throttle, and for Tyler Riggs from first to last by the time he got down to turn number 1.
Yeah, it was unfortunate. He had such a good qualifying lap, but just probably didn't practice his starts enough. As we saw this, I saw the same thing. I thought Scott Crump was going to go around. He almost spun it on the initial start. He was able to save it. That 26 machine was not. Luckily, the 26 didn't get damaged. No black flag for going into the pits, but he has lost literally all the track position he had.
At the exit of turn number 2, there's Francis and Harry Grindle, 3rd and 4th. We'll jump on back a little deeper in the field. There's Brandon Key. Oh, big block down the back straightaway for maybe, is that the 53 car? Yes, it is. On, I think that's the 46 of Kyle Hanshaw. Let's go back and have a quick look at what that looked like as they came out of turn number 2. Here's a look at it. The 56 is the, or excuse me, the 53 is the orange car.
I think that was a block.
Yeah, he just kind of moved down there. And the 46 chased him down. So I'm not sure if he got loose that might have prompted that.
He almost squeezed Marshall Stanley to the outside wall, so I think it was reacting to almost putting the 25 in the wall. Got a bit hairy out of turn number 2. You're going to see that as their 2x2. Once again, the 10 car, it's Jishan Dura dropping back a little bit. The 53's got the run to the outside.
I want to see how this outside group progresses tonight. I do think it's going to get better, but it's going to require some drivers to run up there to make it better. The 25 car, Marshall Stanley, got a little bit too high out of turn 4 and lose some ground. As he jumped back up to 4th place, there's Chuck Sweeting trying to chase down the number 70. And behind them, pretty tight battle between the 56, the 31, and the 57. But out front, Nick Massey has begun to reel in Chris Wright again. Now it's half a second it was over 8/10.
This could just be a case of Chris Wright maybe wearing that tire out a bit too much on the initial start. Nick Massey let him go into turn number 1. He probably realized what he was doing, trying to save his tires for maybe another run in the mid part of this. Only an 80% fuel tank, so they're not going to go a full tire run, but those tires are still going to be really close to blowing by the time these guys are going to pit road. I think Nick Massey knows what he's doing, saving those tires.
If you want to follow along in real time with live timing and scoring, you could do so at simtvbroadcasting.com/timing as the field heads off into turn number 3 on the 13th lap of the race. Still a pretty good battle going on back there with the 53, the 10, and the 25. And Kyle Hanshaw's getting a great view of it out the windshield.
We still got battles inside the top 10 as well. That battle for 7th has not gone away. It's actually the battle for 6th. Liam Sheen and Tate Lytle closing in on each other. And Gerald Campbell's got a full rear bumper of Adam Pettit right now.
Running on board with Liam Sheen as they head down the back straightaway. Tate Lytle, I'm a little bit surprised we haven't seen Tate move up faster through the field, but I feel like Tate's one of those guys that gets slowly better throughout the race. And I think it's going to take him a while to find that pace. You see him moving forward now, though, as he gets a run on Liam Sheen. We'll have a look to the inside. Sheen's going to sort of defend, but gets kind of knocked out of the way as the Tate Lytle comes on through. For the race lead, here comes Nick Massey, and he's through.
Yeah, really no contest right there. Put the 48 back to the race lead. Still watching Sheen and Lytle go side by side. Sheen has to lift out of turn 2. He has really no grip on exit. Tate Lytle starting to move up methodically here, slowly but surely.
There's Adam Pettit. Scott Crump following this battle with Gerald Campbell on the top of the racetrack. Real big push for the 57. And now Crump finds an opportunity to close back up. He went backwards in the initial start of the race. I think now he's got this sort of figured out. Now he's just trapped behind a few cars. So he's got to get this momentum headed back in the right direction. And it's going to require getting past the 31 to the 57 to do that. Campbell pinches down just a little bit.
We're seeing the exit of turn 2, especially that outside line just has nothing to offer. Crump easily clears Gerald Campbell. Campbell going backwards into clutches of Johnny Thomas. Talking about Scott Crump, came into tonight with that 1-point lead, but he is faded early on. He's going to have to get back up to the front because his championship contenders are right up there, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, with Joe Francis up there in 3rd. So he's going to have to make something happen because his competitors are driving away.
There's a look look at this as he came across the grass here on the front straightaway. Watch the 51. He's going to turn left. He's actually going to get the grass on the driver's left side. Is that something that drivers do a lot, or is that maybe an indication that he was having trouble seeing behind the 51 or 57 car?
He was probably just having trouble seeing behind the driver he was facing. You really only want to do that at Charlotte because it's not actually grass. I definitely did that in the Outsiders race there last season, but you don't want to do it in real grass. You don't want to risk hurting those tires a bit too much, getting them too dirty. You see a lot of tire tracks in that specific first dogleg there.
Yeah, a lot of tire tracks there, and I think maybe you can clip it just a little bit, but if it's a fine line, if you get too much of it, it's going to just send you for a big slide. It's not very grippy, that grass, so I would stay off of it if I could. It's not racetrack. There's Damien Leininger in the number 12. He's in 12th right now, looking for 11th on Johnny Thomas. He's actually up 4 spots from where he started as he works over that 83.
The 12 looking really strong. A nice livery right there as he's got a couple drivers to deal with, trying to get to the inside of 83. There he goes, kind of clipping that grass again, trying to find any sort of room to get under that 83, but nothing doing there. It's just going to have to wait in line, trying to get that better run off. It's very important all over the back bumper to 83 now. It's very vital to get that run off the corner instead of focusing on getting into the corner.
Now into turn number 3, Johnny Thomas has a look at the 31, and he's going to put that pressure on Campbell because he feels it from behind. And Dylan Thomas is also joining the party. So is Josh Adams, who started back in 22nd because he didn't get a qualifying lap in, and he's been slowly but surely making his way forward. We know that he'll be a threat. Big check for the 12 car on the right of Johnny Thomas. Now swings back to the left as they enter turn number 1.
That puts the pressure on him. Dylan Thomas all over him as they're starting to stack up on this bottom line. Like we saw earlier in the run, the 31 kind of pushes up as well as the 03. Josh Adams a bit out of a group, gives room to Kenny Larry to go to the inside line.
Looks like they're going to sort it out for now, but Johnny Thomas still feeling pressure from Leininger in the number 12 as they come out of turn number 4. And right down against that grass. You see the 31 clip it. You saw that car jump sideways for just a moment. There's Harry Grindle giving up a spot to Tate Lytle. That's for 5th.
Meanwhile, while all that was going on, we had a change for 2nd place. That 69 machine, Chris Wright just going backwards. Joe Francis, who really needs to win, it needs a lot of help to get this championship for himself here. He's up to 2nd, trying to do everything he can, but he's got to chase down that 48.
Remember, halfway points at lap number 66 coming to 67. So if Joe Francis can take advantage of that, never say never. Just get up there and do it. As Gerald Campbell now has to fight off Johnny Thomas, who's effectively worked his way to the bottom as they head down into turn number 1.
This battle for 10 still going on. Campbell going to pinch really hard, put the 83 all on that white line. Johnny Thomas has to lift hard there. The 12 has to check up as well. Campbell not the best run out of the turn. They're going to be side by side into the turn while the battle brews up there for, I believe, the 7th position. Scott Crump up to 7th past Liam Sheed.
And a lot of restraint there shown by Leininger. He could have taken them 3 wide after not lifting, but he decided to lift. That has brought the 95 of Josh Adams into the party, so now it's a 4-horse race for 10th place as they come on through. Johnny Thomas clears a 31 into turn 1, and the 12 of Leininger wants a piece of it. Here he comes, and the 95 smells blood in the water here. He's going to take a bite.
Campbell really struggling when he gets up at top line. He just has no grip on exit, has to lift. The 95 goes by. The 03 Dylan Thomas is going to have a look to the inside. Now the 12 might have gotten into a wall down the back straightaway. Not quite sure, but Josh Adams got by. Almost into the right rear of Josh Adams goes Damien Leininger. But they all force it out there, and they're back to single file.
Dylan Thomas slotted his way in between the 31 and 12. That was an impressive move. Puts himself in 13th position. As we go back up to 3rd, Chris Wright continues to lose spots. Chuck Sweeting is now beginning to catch him for that 3rd position. And Wright going the wrong direction. Scott Crump is going the right direction. He's up to 6th and climbing as you see him get by Harry Grindle. And this is a pretty interesting thing to watch. If we get a short run later, I'm picking Chris Wright. We get a long run, maybe I'm picking Scott Crump or Nick Massey, who continues to try to drive way up front, but Francis is running him down.
Well, it's all about comers and goers. You got the 69 who was leading early. You got the 48 who kind of took the middle portion of the run. And now you got the 51 and the 50 of Joe Francis. Also, Chuck Sweeting starting to climb on the longer portion of this run. I really did believe that 51 was just trying to save his tires for the longer run. I think it's starting to benefit him here as he's going to get close to 5th, trying to catch that 56 machine of Tate Lytle.
25 laps complete as the field comes on through this time. If you've just joined us here on Sim TV, we've got just under an hour of racing remaining for the final race of the season of the ERSCA PristineAuction.com Chase, presented by AME Corporation and Belly Up Sports. Nick Massey has led so far 13 of our 26 laps. The other 13 belong to Chris Wright, who has fallen to third and might be about to lose that to Chuck Sweeting here on the backstretch.
Chuck Sweeting really backed up his entry into turn number 1. It's gonna get him a big run into turn number 3. The 69 just pulling over Chuck Sweeting up into the top 3 here early on, as that 69 is starting to fade from the top spot, and he does not want to see that 48 driving away.
Here's Liam Sheen right in front of Adam Pettit. That Mustang looks mean, and it looks like it's ready to take a bite out of the rear bumper of the 55 as they head off into 1. Sheen drives it in deep, but I think Pettit's been better on corner exit here.
And that's what's important. That corner exit is what you really want to value, especially for your rear tires and that right front tire. Sheen's going to drift up the track, get a bit of a better run than Adam Pettit, so the 57 not going to have much of a look. But meanwhile, that battle for 10th has kind of simmered down. Josh Adams is clearing away with that position as the battle for 11th still brews on with Johnny Thomas and Damian Leininger.
And here comes Leininger dropping to the inside, going to try to shortcut the front straight to the dog legs here to get a run on the 83. And we'll head off into turn 1 alongside. And he is through, so move Leininger up to 11th spot now as we jump to the race lead, because Nick Massey's lead has dwindled down to 0.2 of a second, and Joe Francis is about ready to snag it away here.
We keep saying 13 points back coming in was that 5th machine. Still needs that help, still needs to get those halfway points and a lot more, but he is looking strong on this longer run, starting to chase down that 48 machine all over the back bumper into turn number 1.
Listening to the throttle control here. Very gentle on it so far. He's not spinning up the tires on exit, not overdriving. He's very much in the groove. Spider just came floating down from the ceiling. I killed it. We're fine. I'm in a basement, so things like that. I had a big spider in here the other day. It was like 4 inches in diameter. Looked it up. It was a fishing spider or something like that. I had to kill it. I'm sorry. I like spiders. Spiders are great, but there is a certain size above which you're paying rent, and if you're not paying rent, you're going to die.
His time was up, I suppose.
Yes, it was.
Oh, wait. Race for the lead is starting to heat up a little bit. That battle for 8th is getting pretty spicy as well. Liam Sheen starting to fall back. Might have worn the tires out a bit too much. Josh Adams got 9th from Adam Pettit, and now he's going to go for the lead for the 8th position on Liam Sheen to the inside. Yeah,
Sheen moved over just a little bit to make Adams have a bit of a less good line off into turn number 3, and Adams will make it stick regardless and should be able to complete this pass when they get down to the other end of the racetrack. And Pettit, door open, he's going to barge in as well and sit down on the living room couch and make himself at home in about 9th spot here as soon as he gets by the 55.
Sheen really tries to drive it in middle of the corner, but he's going to have to give up a lot of time on exit, almost getting close, almost into the outside wall as the 57 surges ahead into turn number 3.
Johnny Thomas, Kenny Lowry. Thomas is going the wrong direction now, and he got as high up as 10th spot and is beginning to slip backwards as Kenny Lowry sizes up the orange belly-up sports car. You see the run for the 22. Door opens, and he will find his way to the bottom. And for the race lead, Joe Francis has gone through. Just like that, how fast that things happen around here. He just got down to the inside in 1 and 2 and just passed Nick Massey. Made that look easy.
I think Massey might have let him by. Francis had the positioning. I don't think Massey wanted to spend any time on that outside lane. A lot of drivers going back to that inside lane. We saw a couple drivers on the short run making moves on that top lane, but it seems like as the tires wear out, that inside line just becomes far too strong.
Yeah, just showing a replay of what had just happened up at the front, but Francis to the top spot will lead his first laps of the night. Look at him moving up the racetrack, though, and that was voluntary. He's kind of running higher line than apexing late. I like that line around here, Connor, but is that using up a lot of tire to turn back down to the bottom at the corner exit?
Yeah, I think you really want to have a slim line in the turns 1 and 3. You really want to get into the corner entry as early as you possibly can. You really don't want to waste too much time getting to that white line. You kind of want to Harvick it like Kevin Harvick runs Texas, especially with the low downforce package they used to run at Texas. You want to be riding that white line as much as you can, saving that tire as much as possible.
Well, Nick Massey just hit pit lane. Is this a surprise? Is this earlier than you would have expected for the 48?
I think so. I think the fuel can go maybe 20 laps. That's definitely an estimate. I wouldn't know for sure, but I think Nick Massey, maybe the tire strategy, maybe the fall off a bit too far. I did notice in practice the fall off for drivers practicing their long runs really dwindled. Their times already cut off by about 2.5 seconds slower than their first laps as Liam Sheen is coming down for his first pit stop, I believe.
Whoa! Can you get it slowed down? That's a little hot. Yeah, that's going to be a penalty for sure.
Yep. Let's hope Nick Massey didn't get a penalty as well. Kyle Hanshaw, he dropped back to 20th. He's coming in for his pit stop. I believe Nick Massey made it in okay. He's actually out of the pits already.
Yeah, looks good, and he rejoins safely, so he'll be good to go as he rejoins traffic 1 lap down. And he's going to start a slew of pit stops. That means we're going to have quite a few of those today. 3 or 4.
Yeah, at least 3.
And that's probably more than I would have expected, but this track is so abrasive, it wouldn't surprise me. Liam Sheen back out on the racetrack. I don't have a stop recorded for him, but he did spend time on the pit lane and going to head straight back this time. And I would imagine
he missed his pit stall or something. That was odd. He did miss his pit stall.
So he'll come on back down, and unfortunately this has gone from bad to worse for him. He's going to do the same thing again. Get it slowed down there, Liam. Come on, buddy.
He might have made it that time if he was lucky. Let's see if he can at least make the pit stall this time. I don't know what happens when you have 2 pit penalties, but I guess we'll find out possibly. There's a couple more drivers come on pit road. Richard Lafferty and who is that as well? Adam Pettit is in from the top 10.
Chris Wright, Scott Crump. This is 4th position on the racetrack for 4th place. And remember, Crump came into the night leading Chris Wright by 1 point. They just swapped, so now Crump is back out in front of Chris Wright. And whoa, there's Nick Massey on fresh tires, squeezing around the outside lane as they come across the start-finish stripe. And down off into turn number 1. Massey's going to try to unlap himself from this crew right here.
Not completely unlapped. Yeah, that could have been big. Scott Crump really squeezed him out of turn number 4. Almost could have been all 3 of our championship contenders wiped out in one fatal sweep. That could have been big for the 50 if that happened,
car in the wall. Sorry to cut you off there, Liam. The 12 car of Damian Leininger got pretty heavy contact with the wall at the exit of turn number 2. I don't think he got any damage off that, but that's the second time we've seen him scrape the fence on the backstretch.
Yeah, he already had some damage to that fender, and he kind of scraped it again. He might not have gotten too much damage out of that scrape either, getting a bit lucky there.
Well, you can see the side skirt here, Liam, or excuse me, Connor. That's I had Liam in the booth here so much, I'm forgetting who's with me. You can see the damage to the side skirt is not insignificant. That might hurt him just a little bit.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't hurt his long run too much. As Liam Sheen, he said over the chat he had a 55-second hold. It might have been, yeah, he did speed twice, so his day is pretty much done here.
Wow, that's brutal. He's now 3 laps down. Will probably go a 4th as Joe Francis comes across the start-finish line to start lap number 40. I like stretching these runs here, Connor. I think that running the long game here is the game to play. I've seen it happen time and time again. I like overcut strategies at a track like this with over 100 laps. I think that's the strategy to play. Do you disagree?
I always like the overcut. I pulled it off many times before. You have to have the speed to do it, and I think Joe Francis definitely has the speed to do it. He has the best long run speed, got to the race lead, took it from the 48. I think he's definitely, if anyone's going to do the overcut correctly and take a pit stop away from their strategy, I think it's definitely this 50 machine. He's got to try something.
Yeah, I think he has the pace to win it outright. I just think that you kind of solidify it pulling this overcut strategy. I feel like whenever you see a driver pulling an undercut, and what I mean by undercut, this is sort of a road racing term, is when you pit earlier to use the tire advantage on the drivers that remain on the racetrack. The thing that I feel when drivers pull that strategy, I feel like it's because they think they're at a disadvantage and they need to use that tire advantage. I'd much rather stay out there, be confident in my pace, than use the good tires later in the race when I need them more.
Yeah, it would definitely be more interesting if they had a tire set limit, but that would be a bit too overcomplicated probably for a track like Atlanta where they absolutely destroy tires. But I really do think if the 50's got to try something. If he's going to win this championship, the 48, the 69, the 51, they're probably not going to crash. It's unlikely that they do crash. Maybe he can try, if they try that strategy that the 48's trying, he can trap them a lap down, maybe get that track position, and maybe get those points, especially those halfway points. You got to be vital. You got to be careful of those. So we're about 24 laps away from halfway here.
One DNF to report so far. Vincent Isabella's number 4. He pulled off about 21 laps ago and has called it a night. Liam Sheen is the last driver running on the racetrack 3 laps down. There is Gerald Campbell passing Joe Francis. Francis pulls over. We'll get back in line here. You have to wonder how long will these drivers hold out, do you think, Connor?
I think at this point, the 50, how long he's gone, he's definitely going for a 2-stop strategy, while the 48 and everyone else who's pit already is going for 3 stops. The tire fall off, I think it's about around 3 seconds. A 31.1 is Joe Francis's best time. Last time by, he ran a 34 flat, basically, so about a 3-second drop off. So that 3-stop strategy might be looking good because of how bad the fall off is, but we'll have to see how much of a difference it makes on track.
Well, we know one thing about iRacing's oval tire. When it's about to let go, you know it. You get 2 or 3 laps of really, really slow pace. So if you're in that car, you will know when it's about to blow, and I feel like Joe Francis is going to run it all the way to the end there. Once you're running 35, 36-second laps, I think that's when you know to come hit pit lane. If you can stretch it as long as possible, go for it. I think that's a great idea. We'll just see how much it'll, the undercut will pay off in relation to this other strategy. We see Brandon Key hit pit lane in the 53 car. That's the Days Gone By vehicle, Vintage Racing Apparel. And he'll hit pit lane. And that will leave the top 13 on the racetrack. The last driver on the racetrack that has not yet, or has yet to pit, would be Zach
Here comes
Patton.
Francis.
And Francis, the race leader, to pit lane. Tate Lytle stays out.
I think this is smart by the 50. I think he's splitting it up pretty evenly. Not exact. It's not 135 laps, but he's pitting on 45. His second pit stop, his final pit stop is probably going to be at around 90. So he's splitting it into even thirds here. I think that's smart.
I like that strategy a lot. So he's going to come on down, and I like these pre-thought strategies because when a driver pits, he
overshot his. Did he overshoot his stall? I don't think he did. He got very lucky there. Chris Wright's also went on pit road.
Well, when you pull this strategy and you pit at exactly lap 45, it shows that a driver has thought about when they were going to come down to pit lane. If you just come at any random time, I'm not convinced that a driver has fully thought through the track.
Crump, sorry, cut you off again. I got a bit of a crash on pit road. Scott Crump's got big damage. The 27 of Chuck Sweeting also involved. Pit road entry gone wrong.
Oh, man, and we stay green, no caution, but for the championship leader coming in, this is huge. He might have just lost the championship. Let's go back and have a quick look at what caused this collision as they came onto pit lane. Got to go back a little farther to find out what happened. Does he just get... Oh, he gets hit from behind.
Adam Pettit got into him, nowhere to go, and the 51 definitely missed pit road. That is championship over. Chuck Sweeting also sped. They also made contact. That is catastrophe.
Yeah, and you have to wonder, was Crump slowing on the racetrack? Because if he was... I mean, it's sort of hard to blame Pettit. Yeah, you can't really blame Pettit for that, Connor. I mean, he's on the racetrack stopping, and that's what the apron's for, and Crump wasn't on it. And at the very least, unless he had said that he was coming to pit lane, I can't put that on Pettit. That was just a crucial mistake by Scott Crump, and for Chuck Sweeting, he's done. That is huge for him and for championship leader Scott Crump, and I'm just surprised that he would make a mistake like that when he's gotten this far in the championship.
Yeah, I don't really see anywhere in the chat where he did call where he was pitting, and there's really nowhere the 57 could have gone. Chuck Sweeting, Marshall Stanley, they were like, the 27 definitely pit, not sure about the 25, but the 57 already made a stop. He had nowhere to go. He was pretty much boxed in. If he made a swerve to the right, he would have been into the outside wall. And there was just really nothing he could do, nothing anyone could do there. Just an unfortunate situation there. And that's 1 down for the 50, I think 2 to go. That's
super disappointing for Scott Crump, and he's back out on the racetrack now, 2 laps down. And for Nick Massey and Chris Wright, this is going to be a huge break for them. But for Massey, it looks like he's kind of in control of everything right now, the way things are going.
Yeah, he's definitely in control of the race right now. No one really near him, but his times are already falling off. A 32.5 last time by, this time by a 32.7. As we'll see the 50 Joe Francis come around. The last time by he was running a 31.2, a second and a half faster. Last time by he was about 20 seconds back there. It's going to be a lot of time you're going to have to make up to get those halfway points.
Yeah, I'm not sure that he was really going for halfway points. I think those would be crucial for him, but I think he's going for the race win. I think that would put certainly a bookend to Joe Francis' season. So to go out there with a bang and win the final race of the season, especially if you can win it and also not be the champion, that puts a little bit of a spotlight on you as well, because usually in the way that these oval championships typically work out, you sort of got to win that final race to win the championship. So if you can not win the championship but win the race, that shows pretty well on you, I think.
I think pretty much everyone knows who Joe Francis is. He had a thrilling victory at Dega that put him right back into a championship race. He really wasn't in the points picture until that race where he got up close there. So he's definitely made his name known in this chase, sort of similar to how Colin Fambro in the Fuel Series kind of came along out of nowhere with a great chase, but also didn't win the championship. Joe Francis, a little bit of a similar season here, kind of under the radar in the regular season and making it count in the chase when it matters most.
He's certainly putting on an amazing performance today. Checking back in on Damian Leininger. He's back to 10th place. Josh Adams at 11th. And then Tyler Riggs, after starting on pole and immediately spinning the car out all the way to dead last, he has found his way back to 9th position. And I don't think he's had to do anything crazy strategy-wise to get there either. So he's sort of back on sequence, at least with Nick Massey. And so Tyler Riggs might be on par. I mean, this is a wild card. He was fastest in qualifying. That means he could be one of the fastest drivers in the race. Maybe he's the one that we should be keeping an eye on as he works his way back to the front.
We'll have to see here as he's pulling the same strategy as Nick Massey with that 3 stop. He pit on lap 35 a bit earlier than most of the drivers. As I'm looking right now, Chris Wright, who also pit sort of early, not as early, actually no, he did pit late. He pit on 45, same lap as Joe Francis. He's up to the 6th position now after passing Marshall Stanley for that position as he's following along with Tate Lytle. Adam Pettis still up ahead, running in that 4th position. He got a bit lucky there to not get completely destroyed.
Yeah, looking at his car, the damage actually is not really that severe. There's a little bit of splitter damage, but honestly got away with a lot less. I'm not sure, I'm not convinced that Scott Crump's damage is as severe as we initially thought. I think he got hit primarily in the rear, and there's a little bit of a crinkle on the left front fender, but I don't think it's going to affect his speed all that much. It's certainly not helping by any stretch. I think what really hurt him is how far back having to pit twice put him, and that's going to be climbing a long way without any cautions to offset it. We have not had yet a caution today, which is surprising considering we've had that initial spin on the initial start and then a crash on pit lane, but no yellows to slow the progress yet.
I think what the big issue was he didn't even make pit entry, so he had no say pit entry. He had that penalty to serve, which put him 2 laps down. He's gone 1 lap back. He's going to have to drive a long way up to Kyle D. Lowry to get that lucky dog position, if he can even get lucky enough to get that lucky dog position. And speaking of that, it's not going to happen. The caution's out.
Caution is out. Do we know where it came from? I don't see anybody that initially had spun. So there's cars slow on the apron in 1 and 2. Oh, Kyle Lowry's got some big damage to the back of that car. I don't think was there a minute ago. Yeah, here's a look. Did he get hit under yellow? Oh, he already had that damage, I think.
Liam Sheen, he was exiting the pits and he turned left to like go into the infield. I'm not sure if that's what triggered the caution.
We're looking at it now. It's possible. I know some tracks are touchier than others. He came and hit pit lane. I don't know what happened.
I think that's got to be triggered by the 55 pulling in. There's nothing else that happened on track. So
yeah, that might have been it actually, and you just saw it briefly there as he turns into the. I can't imagine.
It had to be that. There's nothing else it could be.
I was going to say I can't imagine that being a trigger spot for yellow, but if you saw the ambulance lights, I'm not really sure we can trust iRacing to get a whole lot right. Period. So unfortunately, I know Liam probably feels terrible about that, but you know, things happen. I know New Hampshire is also really tricky with the way that the cautions are triggered. So anyway, pit stops underway now for caution, and this is going to put everyone back on sequence for Nick Massey. That worked out great.
Yeah, put him in the race lead, gave him some track position. He's probably going to get the same track position out of pit road unless someone pulls some 2-tire strategy, which I highly doubt is going to happen. But as I say that, Gerald Campbell, I think he came in second, so I think he's still on 4 tires.
Everyone took 4 tires here. I think that's really the only call to make at a track like this. I think if you take 2, you're going to end up hurting yourself more than you're helping yourself.
Especially just early in the run. That sequence definitely paid off for the 31, though, putting him all the way in the second position. He hit on lap 31 way earlier than everyone else, and it got him that track position. It's perfect timing on the yellow.
So hardware issues for Liam Sheen was what caused that departure. So he will end his day down in 22nd, unfortunately. And our first caution of the day at lap number 55, and we'll slow everybody up, and we'll get everyone that's running is back in lead lap. You know who that was a huge break for was Scott Crump. He will probably take a wave around here and get his way back on the lead lap. Now, that's still a long hill to climb to get himself back in potential to win this championship, because as it stands, Connor, it ain't going to happen.
Yeah, he's not going to get any halfway points. The 48's looking definitely in control. Nick Massey looking like he's got only himself to beat right now. The 51's going to need a lot of help here to get back into this championship race.
So caution out again at lap number 55 for the first time tonight. As we await the restart here, we'll take a very quick break and we'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back live to Atlanta Motor Speedway for the season finale of the ERSCA Pristine Auction.com series. My name is Kyle Heyer, joined by Connor Horn tonight in the booth as we get our 1 to green here. Lights are extinguished atop the pace truck. We've had 1 caution so far, slowing our progress in the season finale race. Trouble for Scott Crump on pit lane. He was the points leader by 1 point coming into the night. He's way far back. Got the wave around. He'll restart 21st. Nick Massey came into the night 3rd in points. He leads right now, and if it finished as is, he would win the championship. Chris Wright came in 2nd, 1 point behind Scott Crump. He sits in 5th for this restart. Pace car is going to peel off. Lap number 60, 7 laps to halfway. Here we go at the front. Massey, Campbell, Francis, Lytle, and Wright, your top 5. Racing again from Atlanta.
This is going to be a big restart for Chris Wright here. He's going to have to try to get somewhere close to Nick Massey, get some better halfway points here if he wants any sort of chance at the championship, because that 48 is on rails.
Francis is trying to protect from Gerald Campbell right now. There's Tate Lytle, Chris Wright back there, but Massey's trying to run away from Joe Francis. It took Francis a little while to get wound up and go for the race lead on the previous run, but once he got there, he took off and went. Gerald Campbell crowding him out of turn number 4 as they cross the line.
And the 56 wiggles up the racetrack at turn number 4, giving clear track to that 69 machine up to the 4th position for some better points. I think as it stands, after the halfway points are given, I think if I'm not wrong, these two, the 69 and the 3, might be tied after halfway, so we'll see how that shapes out. I might be wrong, but I think if I am correct, they will be tied going into the last half of this race.
It would all come down to finishing position. I think every time you have a chase or a championship format like this, you have to basically win this race. I don't think there's any series that we've seen here on Sim TV where they have a championship format like this with a chase where the chase driver either was 2nd or 1st. It's so competitive that you basically need to go out there and prove that you can win the championship by winning the final race of the season. As we see them down the backstretch, Chris Wright trying to work his way back to the front. Earlier in the day, he actually did lead 11 laps, but dropped out of the lead and fell backwards quickly. I think he's a short run driver tonight, but he better hope that he gets a short run to the end of the race if he wants to win.
Yeah, if we get on a long run like we did that 55-lap run where we got the green flag pit stops, it is not going to be pretty for him. I think the 48 definitely has the most laps led right now, so that would be an extra point he has over that 69 machine. So I think maybe after the 69 gets by here, they might be tied, but it's all fluctuating as we know, so we really don't know what the correct points are right now live, but all I know is this 48 and 69 are locked right next to each other.
Adam Pettit, bit of a check on Tyler Riggs, who was our pole sitter, who spun on the opening lap. He's recovered back to 7th now. Big slide for Richard Lafferty in the number 8 in the background, that white and blue car. And Chris Wright has moved himself into 3rd and now hunting down 2nd place. Francis drops to 4th. as Massey tries to hang on to the lead and drive away. If Massey could just lead at the halfway and lead at the checkers, it'd be easy enough to win the championship, but something tells me it's not going to be quite so straightforward.
I think Massey just wants this to go green to the end. I'm pretty sure he believes that he has the car enough to finish. Even if he doesn't win, he's definitely got a good enough car to finish up in the top 4. Speaking of the top 4 breaking away from the rest of the field as Josh Adams leads everyone else 5th on back here. But if he just gets a decent finish, no mistakes, I think the 48 is going to be hard to beat.
Well, let's not ignore Josh Adams. He started dead last because he missed qualifying. He's up to 5th. I mean, maybe we're not even paying attention to this car because he's been kind of charging through the field all day. Here he is now inside the top 5. It only took him 65 laps to get there. Watch out for this 95 car as we got a battle for second.
And Chris Wright trying to force his way to the inside line. Just more grip on exit than that 31 machine of Gerald Campbell. They're going to be dead even just about at the line. I believe this would be the white flag for halfway. Not completely sure. It should be the completion of lap 66. So this is vital points for the 69 to get.
Yeah, Chris Wright moves up into second place. I don't think he's going to be able to chase down Nick Massey, but he will slot himself there. Joe Francis wants 3rd place from the 31 of Gerald Campbell. For Nick Massey, as they head through 3 and 4, crucial points for Massey, who came in 4 points behind Scott Crump as they come out of turn number 4. Nick Massey will lead at the halfway point, and he will get those halfway points for leading. Chris Wright 2nd, Francis 3rd, Campbell 4th, and Josh Adams in 5th as we hit the halfway point.
Like we were talking about, it's basically best finisher wins at this point. Nick Massey looking good in the lead of the race. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts driving away in the next 5 to 10 laps from the 69 machine, because we know Chris Wright starts to fall off later on a run.
Brandon Key has also moved his way forward. He's inside the top 10 after starting in 24th, which was dead last. So Brandon Key's having a good night as Tyler Riggs works over Tate Lytle right in front.
Kind of like we saw earlier in the race, stacking up in the middle of the pack, single file a little bit, although these drivers are a bit more spread out than they were earlier in the race. Tate Lytle, Tyler Riggs, Brandon Key, also Richard Lafferty trying to hang on. Meanwhile, Dylan Thomas trying to get his way into the top 10 to the inside of Adam Pettit, who drives up the track.
Only 1 caution so far for Scott Crump. He has gone effectively nowhere since the restart. He sits all the way down at 20th. The reason why, because he's got older tires than everybody else. He's unable to gain any spots. If we don't get another caution soon, Connor, Scott Crump is in big trouble.
Yeah, he's definitely in big trouble when it comes to strategy. We'll see if he can make it on 1 more stop. Most of these drivers are probably going to stretch it only 1 more stop. I don't think we're going to see any more strategy when it comes to tires or fuel, so he needs to hope for a yellow quick.
Tyler Riggs working over Tate Lytle on the backstretch. And the pole sitter wants to at least lead 1 lap tonight. He's going to pass the 56, put himself into P6. And now have Josh Adams to go get. Look at Tate Lytle turned all the way to the white line and got onto it. We've seen that in the past. Kevin Harvick, famous for running that white line here in Atlanta, just getting that left side tire onto the line and below it to run fast laps around here.
Like I said earlier, if you Harvick the line here around Atlanta, you're definitely going to keep the tires pretty cool. Meanwhile, the battle for second heating up. Nick Massey not pulling away for the 50 machine. Joe Francis trying to get some track position early on. The 69 getting to the bottom earlier than the 50, but the 50 trying to get that run on exit to get inside of them before they get to turn number 1.
I think Joe Francis is the best long-run car here tonight as he comes out of turn 4. Look at the speed that he carries on the straightaway. It's slow in, fast out is what Francis is accomplishing tonight. Chris Wright's not even going to contest it. He's going to try to let him go here. Well, maybe he'll battle him a little bit on the high side, but I think he knows it's too little too late, and the 50 will clear the 69 for that second spot.
I think Chris Wright's got to use this time behind the 50 to try to learn a little bit from him, try to figure out how to run this car on a long run, how to save those tires, how to keep a decent pace, stay close up to that 48 if he wants to make any sort of run for this championship.
Crossing the line to complete lap number 71. We're kind of running out of time here. This is getting down to the last little bit. When I see that we've got about half an hour worth of racing left, to me that signals it's almost the end. You got to start thinking about your final pit stop, how you're going to accomplish that, and what you need to do to win this championship. For Scott Crump, the only chance that he has now is that he gets a yellow flag here the next 10 to 15 laps. Beyond that, it's a loss for him, and it all comes down to basically stopping in the racing line in turns 3 and 4. He didn't get to the apron in time, and a driver behind him, it was the 57 of Adam Pettit, rear-ended him and sent him speeding down pit lane and entering illegally, which got him a penalty. He had to come down and get alternate service, another lap, and that has cost Scott Crump a championship. One little mistake, and it put him out of the running.
And also took out that 27 of Chuck Sweeting, who we saw in the top 5 earlier as well. A big mistake, as we saw, but also in the same way, a bit of a racing incident. Nowhere for the 57 to go into 51, just wasn't slowed down enough to get that apron, which took it, like you said, took him out of contention. Now he's just praying for caution and a little bit of luck.
Nick Massey leads the race at lap number 74. Joe Francis, though, has been chewing into this race lead just a little by little. That time he was a couple hundredths off, but Francis continues to get quicker, and Massey and Wright just top out. Wright's already running slower laps than 3 of the 4 drivers behind him. And you see Gerald Campbell getting eaten alive by Joshua Adams down the backstretch here.
Yeah, before the 69 knows it, he is going to be able to he's going to be probably chased down by that 95 machine. We know how fast Josh Adams is. As the 31 hits the apron a little bit in turn number 4. 56 Tate Lytle almost into the left rear, getting a bit dicey there out of the turn, but we know how fast that 95 is to go all the way from the back up to the top 5. He's probably going to be up in the top 3 by the end of this, if not racing for the win.
That's a kind of wild card, I think. We didn't see him up front all night long, and now he's getting here. We can see his true pace as he exits turn number 2. His last lap, a 32.780. That is 5 thousandths quicker than the race leader, and only slower than Chris Wright, who actually ran a pretty decent lap last lap, but it's closed right back in on Joe Francis.
We'll see how much of the tires the 69 machine is still using here, as he lost a little bit of time to that 50 machine. Actually, no, he did gain like a 1/10 and a half on Joe Francis, so maybe Francis may be saving a bit harder for the longer run. He knows it's only 1 stop to the end here, so he might be really trying to save for this little extra run they might get here. For Chris Wright, he's going to have to start thinking about maybe some pit strategy, maybe an overcut or an undercut. He's going to have to decide which one he wants to do in order to try to run for this championship.
It's all about managing, and that's what Massey's been doing. That's what Francis has been doing. I'm not sure that Chris Wright has managed tires as well as those drivers in front. Josh Adams has been managing nothing but his pace coming forward. That time through a 33.0, which was sort of slow, but he still is trudging his way forward, and the only 3 cars he's got to beat are in his sights right now, and now he's finally got a rabbit to chase.
Someone else who's inching up the order here, Tyler Riggs, all the way to the front, all the way to the back, and all the way back to the front. He's moved his way into the 6th position, just past Gerald Campbell, around the outside on the front straightaway, so he's starting to make some noise here.
Out of turn number 4, Nick Massey leads at lap number 77. Brandon Key, we talked about him. He's got pressure from Richard Lafferty. We have not talked about Lafferty all night long. He started 17th. He's up to 9th.
He's having a really nice restart here, making moves everywhere you see him here. So he's going to try to make some more moves, trying to get anything he can, trying to get some extra points here. Like you said, dead last all the way up to 8th. Almost a similar drive to that 26 machine. Both those drivers did a really good job getting through the field. And I think we talked about Richard Lafferty, except for once, he's gotten himself into the 9th position back from 17th.
Brandon Key all over the back of Gerald Campbell, who's sort of been up and down tonight. I don't think Campbell's been super consistent. You see a little bit of damage to the rear bumper, so he's had some contact from somebody. As Key works him over, and there's some more contact as they come out of turn 2. That got dicey.
Oh, no, they touched! The 53 into the wall.
And the 8 car slides down the back straightaway with the 22 of Kenny Lowry. The caution is out, and for Scott Crump, he can finally breathe a sigh of relief.
Yeah, that is great for Scott Crump, but I think that might be even bigger for Chris Wright, who still has the realistic chance of beating the 48. I think he needs these short runs to the end here, and now it's going to be really tight on fuel. I think this is going to be, if it goes green from here, which I highly doubt, if it does go green from here, this is likely the money stop here.
Having a look here at the incident. You see the 53 get into the 31. He's going to check up right here. The 8 car is going to try to squeeze up the outside. I think 53 is going to move back to the right, and there's the contact. Sends the 8 car sliding, and the big hit there for the 22 of Lowry.
Yeah, it was unfortunate the contact out of 2 with the 31 and 53, but Brandon Key kind of just trying to spot himself there. He thought he still was clear of the 8, and he really wasn't. Kind of a mistake on his part to clear himself there. Just nowhere for Richard Lafferty to go, and also nowhere for that 22 machine to go. Kenny Lowry just absolutely right into the left side door of that 8 machine.
Riding on board here with Richard Lafferty. That's a big hit driver's side, then into the concrete on the inside barrier. So some damage for our second caution of the night, about 30 laps after our initial caution, as we head back to pit lane here. And everyone's going to take 4 tires and fuel here, and this is it. I'm pretty sure we can. Is that kind of far to go to the end from here, Connor? What do you think?
I'm trying to see what Joe Francis did for his first run. We saw Joe Francis, he went 45 laps as Joe Francis out of his pit stall. Nick Massey easily keeps the lead. The 69 playing a game on the pit exit there. He hit the brakes so he could restart third there. Bit of games going on the pit exit. He wanted that inside line, but I don't know if we saw anyone really stretch it farther than 45 or 50, 80% fuel tank. So I'm not sure if they can go to the end here. We might see drivers at the very back of the field maybe top off, trying to pull an upset here to finish the season.
Want to notice something up here at the front. Have a look at our top 5 drivers, all colored in red. That tells you that they are chase competitors. It's always funny how the cream rises to the top here in the last couple laps of our last race of the season.
Yeah, Josh Adams 26 points back. We needed a miracle. He's probably out. He's probably not eligible for the championship now after everything that's gone on. And Tate Lytle has had a forgettable chase here. Really hasn't been able to do anything 9th in points, but he still had a solid season overall, trying to finish it off on a high note. He's had some decent pace here. He's just got to finish it off and maybe have a good long run car here at the end.
So hearing that about 45 laps is the max that drivers can run, and we are basically 50 laps away from the finish here, Connor, so that means that we've got another pit stop in store for us. So what's the strategy? You're going to split this run into 2, 25 and 25, or are you going to maybe try to run it lopsided one way or the other?
I think if you're Chris Wright, you might have to try to just drive as hard as you can and split it in 2s. We know he has probably the best short run car over that 48 machine. I think he's got to maximize his short run speed and hope he gets the perfect pit strategy here to get that championship away from the 48. I think this is the perfect situation for Chris Wright.
All right, so on SimTV, if you'd like to follow live timing and scoring, you can do that at our website, simtvbroadcasting.com/timing, and you can follow along in real time with your favorites as we await our restart. Do you think it's our final one?
I don't think so, but if it is, Chris Wright has gotten a really good opportunity here to maybe chase down Nick Massey, maybe get the race lead away from him on this restart. If he could get the track position away from him on a short run, it would be key in keeping him behind him here to the very end.
Well, if you didn't know where I was this past weekend, I'm going to do a shameless plug for GLTC here. I was out at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin's Road America this past weekend, commentating for a series called Grid Life Touring Cup. If you've never heard of it, it's basically what you wanted stock car racing to be. It's a series where basically you can enter anything you want, and cars are balanced with power, weight, and tire, meaning that you get everything from a 2018 Honda Odyssey to a 1991 Corvette to a 2005 Honda S2000, and everything in between, racing together on the same track in one category. And race 4 from the other day was absolutely spectacular. Drone footage and cameras capturing the action from Road America. A spectacular race. You can head over to youtube.com/gridlife to watch me commentate that series with GLTC competitor DJ Alessandrini, who unfortunately blew out a transmission the other day and also an axle after running over the curbs there. But it's a great series. It's a fun thing to watch. Their next race will be October 3rd and 4th at Gingerman Raceway at their Grid Life Midwest Festival and their points season finale. And it's definitely one to pay attention to because points leader Aaron Lichty had problems at Road America and didn't get the points that he needed. Just like Scott Crump tonight, he'll restart 17th as we come out of turn 4, Connor.
Yeah, I'm very excited for this one. This is the restart of the season. You got 6 drivers up here who have a chance at winning. You got 3 drivers up here who still have a shot at the championship.
Green flag back in the air, 50 laps to go in the final race of the season for the ERSCA PristineAuction.com series. Massey pulls ahead. Chris Wright to second. Francis falls into third. And Tate Lytle and Josh Adams all getting in line at the bottom.
That's exactly what the 69 machine needed. He's got clear track up to the 48. He's got the big run out of turn number 2. He's probably going to look low here. He's going to go for the race lead. This is exactly what he needs.
To the race lead, the 69 of Chris Wright powers on by. Can he hang on to it? And for the final 50 laps of the race as he clears the 48 and tries to drive away.
That was not a good restart for Joe Francis. Stuck on the outside lane. Still Tate Lytle's by. He's in jeopardy of falling right out to 5th. Josh Adams to the inside. Goes to the inside of the 56 now as the 69 drives it hard into turn number 1. Getting a gap on Nick Massey. He's got to try his hardest to pace himself here on those tires, but also not to exactly let Nick Massey back into the race lead. He's got to manage himself here.
A big bobble for the 95. Almost got into Tate Lytle in turns 1 and 2, but they didn't have that contact, so they'll be able to continue. Massey pulls the car low on exit, tries to carry some more momentum to the bottom of the racetrack. racetrack to run Chris Wright back down. Time is ticking for the race leaders. We will have to come back down to pit lane at some point, but you want the track position now. Kyle Hanshaw, we haven't heard about all day long. Here he comes inside the top 15, trying to have a look at Damian Leininger and Harry Grindle.
Also another battle, Dylan D. Thomas trying to go for the 7th position on Gerald Campbell. Campbell going to let him by the 0-3. He looked pretty strong on that first run. Did not have the track position, though. Starting to creep up to the front here as it gets late on in this one.
Here comes Adams on Tate Lytle for third as they come across the start-finish line. 185 miles an hour. Off into turn 1, Adams has the bottom, Lytle has the top, and we haven't really gotten to see these lines too much today move around, and I don't think the outside has really come in at all. It still seems like the bottom's the place to be.
It really only on fresh tires is when you see that middle line even do anything. I can't say I'm surprised about this. That inside line, once the tires wear, it gets way too strong, way too hard to hold anything on the outside. We saw a lot of drivers, especially on the exit of 2, just can't hold it on the throttle or else they're going to wall themselves. It's really difficult for these guys to do anything. They really just got to rely on holding in line and looking for the best exit possible out of these turns to try to get under someone.
Tyler Riggs in 6th. He's hungry. He has not led a single lap today after starting on pole. We know he's going to want to lead at least one, and he charged his way all the way through the field. Sits just outside of the top 5, and he is hungry as ever to get by this next group of cars and have a run at the top spot.
The next group of cars includes Joe Francis, still trying to get kind of what we saw in the initial start. He had a bad start, had to battle his way back up to the front. He did at the end of it all. He's going to have to do it all over again with not much time left, just over 40 to go. As the 48, Nick Massey starts creeping up into the picture. The 69's tires are already starting to wear.
Let's keep an eye on the lap times here. Last time by for Chris Wright, a 31.415, about half a second off his best time of the day. A 31.490 for Nick Massey across the line this time. Will it be any slower for Chris Wright? A 31.550 to a 31.714. So time's dropping off. How about for third? Here comes Adams on the outside now of Tate Lytle, and actually Lytle to the bottom, trying to get past the 95 again. They're going to trade spots again.
Not quite yet. The 95 doesn't want to give it up so easily, but I just don't think he has anything to fight with up there. No grip really there to fight. Really can't drive it in, and if it turns, Tate Lytle clears him. A bit of a gap there to get in between the 56 and the 50. Not going to take it. Trying to get that run off the outside line. Almost very close to the outside line. Almost just tapping it there, but he's still got a decent run out of the turn.
Door is open for the 50 of Joe Francis and the 26 Tyler Riggs, and they're about to make themselves comfy on the inside living room that is left by the 95's absence there on the bottom. The 50 going to drag race him down the backstretch, and Tyler Riggs kind of boxed in, nowhere to go for the moment.
Josh Adams gets to the front. Now all of a sudden he got all the way up to third. Now all of a sudden he's starting to fall back again. Can't get to the bottom lane. Joe Francis going to be the next one to put him up, keeping him in that living room, I suppose, trying to put him back into a 5th position, and Tyler Riggs is right in line to do the same.
Dylan Thomas is just watching all of this and seeing these guys play with each other and leave the doors open. I think Dylan Thomas is ready to knock one down off of turn number 2. Thomas is closing. He's 7th right now and wants 6th from Tyler Riggs.
And another driver who's closing, 48, Nick Massey, a 10th faster last time by than Chris Wright, a 31.9 for Massey, a 32 flat for Chris Wright across the line. This time by, it's a 32.1 for Chris Wright and a 32.2 for Nick Massey. Massey not too consistent right now, as we're seeing. They're kind of flip-flopping back and forth, 7th and 8/10ths back. Is Massey just trying to save, or is he kind of just messing up a little bit here at the end?
I was just going to say, I'm shocked at how much the tires are falling off. They've fallen off a half a second in about 3 laps time. We were just talking about them running 31.4s, and here they are running 32.1s and 32.3s. This is just, I'm amazed at how bad the tires get and how short of a time span it is as we hit 40 laps to go.
And it's going to be big to see if the 69 Chris Wright, we'll see if he learned anything, if he learned how to save those tires. A 32.3 last time, and once again that gap fluctuating. A 32.2 for Massey, gaining that 10th back. Meanwhile, they're trading 10ths back. Tate Lytle's just taking time from both of them, closing in on the back of the 48.
Tate Lytle, we have not really discussed him as a serious win contender yet today, but maybe we should have. Lytle is no stranger to victory lane.
Whoa, Francis is slow. Francis is slow on the bottom lane. I don't know if this is a early pit stop or what, but he is slow on the bottom lane. He is coming to pit road here.
This might be a scheduled pit stop here. It's going to hit pit lane, and if he pits now, I don't hate this idea. I'm just not convinced that this is the winning strategy here. But maybe you got to do something different. He was buried in traffic.
He came over the radio saying he's got a crew chief for this one, so someone up on the box knows what he's doing. You can make it on fuel from here, but I don't know. When these drivers come in to get the fresh tires later in their runs, I'm not sure how it's going to hold up because the fall off isn't as big as it can be right now, but we'll see how this holds up for the 50 as Chris Wright, last time by, lost another 10th, this time by a 32.5 for Wright. And it is a 32.6 for Nick Massey, once again giving that time back up, and Tate Lytle is all over the back bumper.
And watching Tate Lytle, he's the quickest of the three. Actually, Josh Adams is the quickest driver inside the top 5 at the moment, so let's keep an eye on the 95 as well. But Lytle putting pressure on Massey, going to go to the high side, maybe try to arc this down and exit low, carry this speed onto the front stretch, and maybe cut the dog legs. Here he comes.
But we don't know what the fuel situation is. I know one thing, Nick Massey does not want to give up any track position to that 69 machine. He does not want, I wouldn't want Tate Lytle going back by me, but there he goes. He's going to let Tate Lytle try to chase down that 69 machine.
Well, I think in Nick Massey's eyes, I think the goal here is maybe let the more competitive car go run him down and bring him back to you. So if you can get Tate Lytle to go up there and challenge Chris Wright for the lead, that battling might drag them both back into the hands of Nick Massey. But if Massey holds that 56 back, they're both going to lose time. So maybe there's a little bit of co-opetition going on. Josh Adams in the 95 car is probably the one I should be most concerned about if I'm Chris Wright or Tate Lytle. This 95 is coming and coming fast.
Trying to listen to the engine of Nick Massey, see if he's saving fuel, and I did go into the cockpit. He is coasting into turn number 1, so I think Nick Massey, he's not trying to let someone chase him down. I think he's trying to make it on no stops. I think he's going to the end.
I don't think that's possible. I mean, you have to save, what, 5-6 laps? That seems like way too much.
We'll have to see here. I don't think we saw anyone stretch it all the way on fuel, though. I'm not sure what the max is, but Nick Massey, he's coasting into turns. He's definitely trying to be one of those drivers to make it.
Well, I've heard about 45 laps is the longest they can run. We had 50 laps plus a pace lap and a half for the drivers that got fuel. That's a lot, and I think you're going to give up more time doing it. Maybe it's possible, Connor, but that's a risky strategy.
I want to see, I'm trying to listen in and see if anyone else is trying the same strategy. I know Chris Wright definitely isn't trying that. Tate Lytle is, I think, still going for it. Nick Massey, while he is coasting into the turns, he's still keeping a good pace. So if he's saving that much more fuel in the turns and keeping a good pace, it could still work. And when all these drivers have to come in for their final stop for that splash of fuel, he can turn the car down way slower.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that. I would have, honestly, I don't know why Massey's doing this strategy. I would have done this if I was Chris Wright. I don't think Chris Wright has the pace to outrun the other championship competitors, at least not tonight in the long runs. If I was Chris Wright, I would have been the one to back it down and try to go all the way to the end on this tank of fuel. Nick Massey's got the pace to go up there and win the race if he wanted to, even if he comes to pit lane. So I'm just surprised that those roles weren't reversed, but I guess these drivers will never cease to amaze me and why they make those decisions.
I think the only one I heard coasting into the turns was Johnny Thomas all the way back in 15th. So as far as I know, there's only 2 drivers trying to save fuel to the end. And it's very risky for Massey to be doing this. He had control of the race, but he's going for the risky strategy here, trying to make it on fuel to really win this one in a thriller. I think it's a high risk and it's definitely a high reward, though.
Well, remember, we came into the night. Here was the points picture. For the top 3 in the points, Scott Crump led Chris Wright by 1 point. Nick Massey was 4 points back. That's obviously been turned up on its head as Nick Massey won the halfway points. So it's kind of shuffled things around a little bit. But basically, it's come down to winner take all for Wright versus Massey. I think for Massey, the only way that this works is if he wins this race. If this strategy does not work for him, it's going to be a really unfortunate end to what could have been a championship-winning season. But let's just see how it plays out. We still got about 30 laps to go, 31 laps to go. I don't think we're going to know until the last lap.
And we're not going to know until we finally get to that white flag lap and everyone's pit and the 48 still running. We still got a battle for the lead to deal with. That 56 machine, Tate Lytle, is there.
Look at the run he's got building out of turn number 2. He's going to go to the inside. I don't think Wright's even going to bother defending it. He's going to leave the lane open for the 56 of Lytle. And the day has gone by. Camaro's going to launch himself into the race lead.
I'm trying to do quick math for myself. I'm trying to factor in bonus points and all that. I think as they run, Chris Wright would have a 2-point lead over Nick Massey. Say Massey would pass him on track here for that second position. That would tie them for that points lead, and I'm not sure what the tiebreaker is. Chris Wright and Nick Massey both have 2 wins, and then Massey would have more top 5s. I don't know know what exactly the tiebreakers would be. But I think Massey, if he could get by that 69 machine, he'd be in the best spot.
So our policy when it comes to championships that are this close, our policy is we will not tell you who wins the championship until we are told who is the champion, because what we don't want to have happen is say one thing and then have it be another. So we will not speculate after the checkered flag who has won this championship. We'll give you our best guess, but we will not tell you who has won the championship until after we are told. It'll be Johnny Thomas coming into the booth here at the end of the night to tell us who is the official champion. Lytle leads this race. Wright and Massey second and third. They are the championship leaders, as you mentioned, Connor. Very tight between those two, but the bonus points at halfway were crucial for Massey. That might allow him a little bit of wiggle room here.
He's going to drop another point here. Josh Adams trying to go to the inside line for that third position. Max is going to let him by, still trying to stretch to fuel around 30, about maybe 28, 27 more laps. It's a long way to go, but if anyone's going to do it, it might be that 48 machine.
Think about Josh Adams and the night that he's had. Had he gone out and qualified 3 seconds sooner, he would have made qualifying and probably run pretty high up in the grid, but he's spent his entire day charging on through. He has still not led a single lap, but something tells me he wants to change that soon.
Yeah, he's going to definitely try his best to change that. He's got one of the faster cars on track right now. That being said, he was slower than Chris Wright and Tate Lytle. Wright actually a little bit faster than Tate Lytle, not losing touch to that 56 machine. This would be around that halfway point of this final run here, lap 107. So we might see these drivers start creeping down into pit lane. We'll see who comes first. Joe Francis still a lap down, running about maybe 0.8 faster than what the race leaders are running here. I don't think the strategy's going to work, and actually he's going to get a bump from the 12 machine of Damian Leininger, as they're actually both on the same tire strategy possibly, but I don't know. When all the drivers come in for their pit stops soon here, I don't know how this is going to work for the 50, but he had to try something.
Tiebreaker for the ERSCA PristineAuction.com series is the highest finisher in this race will win the tiebreaker. So that'll be the first stage that we go to. And obviously you can't really tie in that regard. So I think I actually like that better than the top twos, top three, you know, how many seconds, thirds, and fourths or whatever you have, or top fives, top tens, just because you can't tie in that marker. Someone's going to finish in front of somebody else. It'll be a very definite win. Lap 108 of 133, Lytle leads by half a second over Chris Wright. Nick Massey continues to save fuel, and we assume that everyone else has to make pit stops, and a lot of drivers still have yet to do that.
And another thing, that when all these drivers come down for their final pit stops, who's going to take 4 tires and fuel? People might take 2 in fuel. Maybe if you're Chris Wright, if you're feeling edgy, someone at the back of the pack, maybe you just take a splash of fuel. So many strategies are going to come into play here at the end of this one.
Marshall Stanley up inside the top 10 after starting back in 25th. Dead last today. And working his way inside the top 10 over Zishan Dura and the 70 of Harry Grindel. That is a pretty good climb for Marshall. He's been quietly doing it, hasn't had any contact or any dramas today, just a matte black car, very understated, but he's up here battling for position, and he's been very calculated so far tonight. But here comes Leininger. Woo, that was tight.
Oh, he is really threading the needle there, right between the 70 and the 10. Another Zishan Dura up into the 7th position right now after that pass. Adam Pettit following a couple drivers too who have already made their pit stops. No one at the front notable has made their pit stop yet, as Jared Campbell going around the outside of Josh Adams. The top 2, Tate Lytle, Chris Wright, still right next to each other. Chris Wright doing a better job on this all run. Hard to tell because Nick Massey's saving fuel, but it seems like he's keeping a better pace right now here in second.
Yeah, he hasn't dropped off quite as much, I think. He's been conscious of his tire conservation efforts. As you see, Tate Lytle, he's dropped off even less. So I think Lytle's got something figured out right here. And again, we're expecting him to have to make a pit stop. So I'm not convinced that he's going to win this race, but he's certainly got the pace to do it.
Oh, here comes Chris Wright. Chris Wright's down for his final stop.
So Chris Wright comes on in as he was running. Should have been the points leader. So now we're going to find out if this is the race-winning strategy, or if Nick Massey, who is saving fuel on the racetrack, can make it to the end and upset everybody, coming from 3rd to 1st in the final race in the points and win the championship. That is all coming down to the mileage he can get out of this. Oh, he's actually saving even more fuel than he was, Connor.
And trying to check the time here. He's really trying to coast. Even though he's coasting into turns, still not much slower than Josh Adams, only slower by a 10th here. As Josh Adams, he might have taken the lead. I think Tate Lytle came into pit road that time in reaction to the 69.
Tate Lytle did come to pit lane, that turns the lead over to Josh Adams. Massey way on the clutch pedal into turns 1 and 2. Saw the RPMs come all the way down to idle as the car shut off.
And this is the point where his championship competitors are pretty much already pit. He's going to be able to back it down as far as he can now. He's not worried about that 12. He's not worried about the other drivers trying to save around him. Tyler Riggs still in third here. He's not worried about any of these drivers. He's worried only about that 69 machine and the progress that he's making on track.
This is such a risky strategy if this goes wrong. And this is hard to do. It's so hard to save fuel to a very specific number. It's so much easier just to save it in general. Like if the caution comes out, you push the clutch and shut the car off. That's easy to do. If you're trying to get to a specific lap, it is very difficult to do this the proper way, and it requires experience. This is not something that drivers get the opportunity to do quite a bit, because in the past, it seems like tires are almost always the way to go. It's really a unique situation that you get in when fuel strategy outpaces tires in this regard.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what wins, tires or just more fuel than the other drivers. Nick Massey's got a whole lap back to the 69. Chris Wright's going to have to unlap himself, get himself in that lucky dog position potentially, just in case that yellow comes out, as Wright's going to be on the back bumper of Nick Massey. He also did jump Tate Lytle for basically the effective race lead, so he did a good job on the undercut there to get by Tate Lytle, just in case it might come down to a tiebreaker of some sort. But he's going to have to really hustle here for these last 15 or 16 or so laps to go here. He's going to really have to hustle the car. Maybe about it's going to have to be more than a second a lap faster than Nick Massey. With how worn that 48's tires are, I think it's still possible.
Chris Wright's got Tate Lytle behind him. I don't think Chris Wright really cares about Tate Lytle, to be honest. The only car that Chris Wright is concerned with is the 48 of Nick Massey. Scott Crump is also up in 7th right now, but he's just not in a position to win this championship, Connor. Unfortunately, with that contact he had earlier coming to pit lane, that has taken him out of contention, and he's just not in a place where he can win this championship without something chaotic and crazy happening.
Yeah, it was unfortunate to see that mistake there. It would have been a really nice 3-car dogfight for this final race for the championship, but it wasn't meant to be for him. He'll have to maybe gear up for another season, possibly, as Tate Lytle's going for the effective race lead on Chris Wright all over the back bumper. Crump, he had a good car. He was up in the top 5. He was making it work on that long run, had similar long run speed to Nick Massey, but mistakes like that are just what can cost you a championship. A blink of an eye can happen just like that.
If I'm Chris Wright, I let this 56 car go. I think he's just a distraction right now. Let him go. Let him open up the doors for you and follow him through. I would not be battling with this 56. All about pace right now for Chris Wright. He needs to run this car as hard as he can to the end, and I think blocking him is not going to do anything. I don't think it matters if he wins this race or not. He needs to get that car to the front as fast as possible, and he will not do that battling this 56.
He's got to get in line in some way. He's got to get behind a 56. Single file is the fastest way around the track. It's not going to work battling, especially when you're coming up on slower traffic like this 8 machine of Lafferty. He's going to have to get down right here behind the 56. This is the smartest thing he can do here if he wants to chase down that 48.
Yeah, there is a goal in mind for Chris Wright, and I think his judgment got a little bit clouded there. The goal is not to win the race. The goal is to win the championship. And those two things, while they are typically tied together, they are not tonight. You can certainly win the championship without winning the race, and I think Chris Wright had to make that decision right there. But I think it took him a little bit too long to make that decision. That could have cost him precious time.
Yeah, we'll see if that comes into play at the very end of this one. Nick Massey obviously still sticking it out there. He's made his bet. There's no going back on it now. This is his championship strategy here. He's going to have to try to make it work. A 33.4 last time by, and I'm trying to see where the leaders fall in that. Tate Lytle and Chris Wright here. A 31.8 for Chris Wright compared to the 33.4 from Nick Massey, about a second and a half faster. I'm not sure if that's going to be enough. We're going to see their tires dwindle a little bit here. While Massey's, while they're very worn, they're not going to fall off much more here. So he's going to have to take as much life out of those tires as he can in the closing laps.
13 laps to go for the race leaders, and what that means is that the drivers behind will have to basically average 2.1, 2.2 seconds a lap to get back to Nick Massey. Now, I think that's a reasonable amount for them to make up, because Nick Massey right now is saving at a rate fast enough where he's driving fast enough to make it to the end. But that's assuming that he doesn't have to slow down anymore, and he might discover, especially if he's using iRacing's fuel calculations, that he's going to have to save a little bit more come the last 5 or 6 laps of this race. So he better hope that he can maintain this pace all the way to the checkers.
Yeah, unlike Joe Francis, he doesn't have anyone on the box in iRacing, so this is all on him here. If he wins a championship, it's a great call. If he doesn't, you kind of just think to yourself, what was I thinking? We'll see how it happens here. I don't know. He might have to back up the pace. He's still got a lot of time to back up. He has a lot of ground to work with here. That 69 is likely not going to catch him by the end of this one, so if he has to back it up farther, he has the ability to do that.
Joe Francis is all the way back in 19th, a lap down. And I think this is, he had a long time on pit lane, 50 seconds, compared to about 39 to 40 for everybody else. I think he must have had trouble getting into or out of his box because it was not a penalty. So Joe Francis, who led a bunch of laps earlier in this race, will not have a chance to win this tonight. As next time by, we'll come around to 10 laps to go. Josh Adams will lead, and Nick Massey is second. And, well, I think Adams still has to pit, unless Adams is saving too. Let's listen. No.
Imagine if he makes it. Well, I think his strategy is probably just to take a splash or something, maybe 2 tires. I'm not quite sure, but if he's not coasting, he's probably not going to save it. I checked Joe Francis's pit stop. He was only going like 25 miles per hour into his box. So I'm not sure if he ran out of fuel that early. I can't imagine he missed the fuel like that, but I can't think of anything else happening there.
Yeah, that could be. I mean, sometimes if you check the box wrong or don't hit, get the right amount of fuel in it, it's very easy to do that wrong. So unfortunately for Francis, something didn't go right there, and it will leave him down in 20th, a lap down. Massey continues to jump off throttle, and we're chasing our leaders through the field. Chris Wright is now 20 seconds back from Nick Massey as it stands, and right now he's gaining about a second a lap. It's not going to be enough, but that's assuming Massey can make it, and I'm still not convinced. I will not be convinced until we see Massey in turn number 3 that he can make it.
Yeah, he really only has to save. He can probably come up short by about a turn here and coast to the checkered flag. He's really going to be the only one racing for the win here on this strategy. I don't see any way Josh Adams can make it. If Josh Adams makes it and he's not even coasting, it's going to kind of be a head scratcher here. If he makes it, it would just be insane here. But I'm not sure. I think Nick Massey knows what he's doing here as he comes about 9 laps to go. He's got a few more laps, and he can really back down the pace now because the 69 and the 56, they're not closing up as fast.
Well, I know that in the past I've questioned if drivers are actually even running V8s in some of these cars with how long they make fuel go. So I don't think it's out of the question, but you never know until the race is over, and we won't know either who is the champion. Well, unless Massey completely runs out of fuel, then we'll know that it's Chris Wright. But we don't know what's going to happen until the checkered flag falls. And that's the beauty of racing here on Sim TV. Coming down the last 7 laps here as Joshua Adams crosses the line, 1.4 out in front of Massey. Chris Wright still 18 seconds back from the 48.
I want to see if Josh Adams, how close he makes it to the line. I want to see when he will pit, if he does pit. I want to see what happens here because he hasn't been saving like the 48 has. He stays out another lap with about 6 laps to go. So 50 laps on a tank of fuel, that's what we expected Massey. We estimated that he had to make up 5 laps on fuel. So if Josh Adams makes it the 5 to go here, I think we have a good idea that Nick Massey might have a chance at doing that.
For Josh Adams, it'll be 5 laps to go next time by. Nick Massey's pace has been very consistent. That makes me feel a lot better about Massey's situation. He has not slowed down more the last couple laps. As long as he continues to run high 33s and low 34s, I think he'll be in a pretty good position to win this race, or at least finish second.
Josh Adams came in, and that's coming the 5 laps to go, so that's exactly kind of what I predicted. Well, that 48 needs to make up those 5 laps that the 95 spent on the track. We'll see if he's able to do it.
Every lap beyond this one, Nick Massey could run out of fuel. He leads by 14 seconds over Tate Lytle. Chris Wright is another about a second back from that. As we come to 4 laps to go, Nick Massey is 4 laps away from claiming a championship trophy with a crazy strategy to stay out on fuel to come from 3rd in the points to win it. 4 to go.
And I noticed that time he backed it down almost a full second. He knows he's got about 13 seconds to give up to Tate Lytle here, about 12 seconds. Backed it up actually only half a second there, way down on speed in the middle of these turns. He's using everything he's got.
I thought thought I heard the car stumble as he came through turn number 2. He's back on the clutch way early in 3. This is what concerns me, is if he felt like he could make it, he would not be saving more fuel now. But with 3 laps to go, he better hope he can make it. 12 seconds back to Chris Wright. Way early clutch into turn number 1.
That is way early. He is going to be right on the number here. It's the 34.3 last time by, saving the 69, a 32.8. It's still not going to be enough to get there. It is all on Nick Massey here.
Next time by will be 3 miles. There'll be less than a gallon of fuel left in this car. Just fumes for Nick Massey. A championship dangling in front of him with 3 miles, 2 laps left to go from Atlanta.
I think he can even back it down even more here. Use everything you can. Don't risk it whatsoever. Get on the clutch at the start-finish line if you need to. Pull an Alexander Rossi possibly. Just he's got to get everything he can out of this car. He's only got a lap and a half left to do it.
Car pulling over to the side. That's the 3 car of Zach Patton. Back on the clutch into turn 3, Connor.
And he still hasn't started once yet. He's going to go all the way down to the 140 into turns 3 and 4. He's going to full throttle up, coming to the white flag. It is only 1 more lap to do it. About 8 seconds back to Tate Lytle. He has almost got it made. Just 1 more to go.
A mile and a half remains for Nick Massey in the number 48 car. All season long, he's competed in a championship with his competitors here in the ERSCA PristineAuction.com series. AME Corporation's come on board to sponsor the chase. Massey's performance was incredible. But today, he's going to save the fuel by 8 seconds. Tate Lytle is not going to be close enough. Chris Wright will not be close enough. We're not sure about the championship, but we do know that Nick Massey will come out of turn number 4 on fumes, and he will win the final race of the season from Atlanta.
And right at the line, he just started sputtering. He played that absolutely perfectly. You could not have cut it any close. He won the race. He might not have enough to do any burnouts, but I don't think he even cares.
For Nick Massey, just enough. Planned perfectly. And he will pull that car to the apron. Tate Lytle 2nd, Chris Wright 3rd. Gerald Campbell 4th, Dylan Thomas 5th. Harry Grindell, then Scott Crump all the way back in 7th. Unfortunately for him, things did not go his way, and we know that he will not win the championship after coming in leading by 1 point over Chris Wright.
He's got, all I gotta say about Nick Massey, he's got you-know-what of steel to pull off a strategy that bold in the championship race with the whole series, the whole season on the line, to do something like that. And we don't know if he won it yet, but if he did, that is one of the most bold strategies for the championship you will ever see.
Well, no fuel left for burnouts, but sometimes those are the sweetest ones to win, Connor. You win a race on fuel mileage, but he did it all with skill. That is a difficult thing to master. That is pretty incredible. We're going to show you the race results here. We'll bring you the championship information here in just a few minutes after a short break. Tate Lytle 2nd, Chris Wright in 3rd, then Campbell, Thomas, Grindell, Crump, Dura, Leininger, and Adam Pettit, the rest of your top 10. And the rest of the field here shown below. Josh Adams, 13th place. That strategy didn't quite work out. Joe Francis led laps early, ends up 15th. And Tyler Riggs, the pole sitter, ends up 19th. A disappointing day for him. And we'll be back in just a few moments to announce our season champion. Hang tight. Welcome back live to SimTV, the ERSCPristineAuction.com series. Here now with Tate Lytle, the second-place finisher in the number 56 Camaro. Tate, tonight, a second-place run. Not quite a victory, trying to chase down Nick Massey, but wasn't quite enough. Take us through your night and the battle you had out there on the hot asphalt of Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Yeah, I mean, we qualified pretty much where we qualified here in the spring. Started 10th. I think I was able to get up into the top 3 or 4 there that first run, and I really think we had him if that second caution didn't come out, because we were starting to make up ground again on him just from saving tires. But yeah, I don't know how Nick went 50 laps on a tank of gas. I thought 46 was about topping out, so I didn't even think about it, because 4 laps is a lot to save and still make time. But he did it, and he did it by like 7.5 seconds, so props to him.
Take me through your season and how the highs and lows, and as you exit this season and look forward to the next. Overall, a good one, or is there maybe some opportunities that you missed that could have landed you in the championship trophy holder spot this season?
Well, I had 7 second-place finishes, so I don't know if that counts as opportunities, but that's a lot of them that slipped away. So only 2 wins. I felt like we should have had 4 or 5, but and there's also 4 or 5 guys that would say that, and I think we're going to end up 9th in the points, and felt like at worst we were a 3rd place car most of the season, but that's how these things work, and hopefully next season we'll have a little better luck in the chase.
Tate, thanks for talking to us, and thanks for your time. Congrats on the second place tonight, and we'll see you around. All right, going to move on now. We got Johnny Thomas here. Johnny, thanks so much for an amazing season, but we've got, or at least you've got, an announcement to make, and we'll let you take care of that here.
Yeah, thanks, Kyle. I appreciate SimTV and everything that you guys have done this year. On behalf of ERSCA and the Pristine Auction Series, I'd like to congratulate Nick Massey on the championship. It was well-earned, and Nick had a great run all throughout the year. Picking up 3 wins and 9 top 5s, 13 top 10s to propel himself to the championship. Before we get to talk to Nick, I'd like to just thank everybody for helping us out at ERSCA, Pristine Auctions, our title sponsor, Belly Up Sports, and everybody else involved, AMC Corporation for being the Chase title sponsor. And hopefully you guys will enjoy us enough to come back for next year, and I appreciate everybody supporting ERSCA. And hopefully everybody had a good time. Thanks, Kyle.
Johnny, thanks so much for your time, and we'll talk to Nick. I'm sure he's celebrating. We'll get to chat with him in just a little bit. But Johnny, thanks so much for everything, and we'll talk to you in a bit.
Thanks, guys.
We're going to move on now to Joe Francis, who led some laps earlier tonight, but wasn't able to get the victory. Ended up finishing down in 15th. Joe, what happened there towards the end? Led some laps, but just wasn't able to quite snag that victory.
Well, unfortunately, we had a mishap on the fuel. Because I guess I checked it, then maybe my crew chief might have accidentally unchecked it at the same time I checked it and didn't add any fuel. And we were both unaware of that happening, so we didn't know it was low on gas, and eventually just ran out on the backstretch and coasted it to pit road to get more. And I don't know. That was it.
I mean, when you look back at your season and your championship contention, do you look at a race like this? Is this a disappointing run tonight, or are you just glad to have gotten up there and led some laps in what ended up being a very competitive race?
It's disappointing in a way, but I'm glad we ran as good as we did. That's about all we could have done. I think even winning the race, Nick probably would have had it in the bag, but I would have liked to still be up there and give it a shot, get those 5 extra bonus points for winning, which I think I might have had him on tires if I was up there in time, but Nick did a great job saving fuel and making it to the end.
Joe, thanks for talking to us, and congratulations. I know it wasn't the finish that you wanted, but it's still a strong run tonight. Good luck to you next season.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. We're going to move on now to Chris Wright, who finished in second in the championship. Chris, tonight, just shy of snagging away a championship trophy from the ultimate winner, Nick Massey, but a valiant effort tonight. The strategy just wasn't in your favor. Take us through to the end.
Yeah, how about that strategy call by my teammate over there? That was pretty gutsy, to do that, because he was running right with me and just ran on top of each other all night long. We knew what we needed. We knew Scott was involved in an incident, so we knew it was us, and Joe had an outside shot. I mean, just to have the stones to make a call like that, saving fuel, that's incredible. But congrats to him on that. I mean, he's the only one that did it.
I mean, this race, I think from the drop of the green flag is why we saw the pole sitter almost crash on the initial start. But there seemed like there was a lot of strategy involved. It seemed like you had a lot of speed on the short runs, but were struggling on the longer runs. Was that something that you were aware of and maybe you're trying to adjust for, or was it just kind of the way that the tires felt for you tonight?
Well, at the start, I didn't mean to do it, but after that, the way the cautions fell, getting the caution like 10 laps before stage and knowing that Nick was the lead and I was, fifth place, I knew I needed to cover that ground because I came in with like a 3-point gap on Nick, so I was able to get to second. So that was all by design at that point. And then getting the caution and restart with 50 to go, I just decided to split it up into 25 lap segments, and I didn't think for a second anybody was going to make it on fuel. So I felt like when I pitted, I was the guy. I thought, all right, I got control of this, and he shocked everybody and made it on gas.
It was certainly impressive, but so was your run this season, Chris. Congratulations, and look forward to seeing you out there next season. Good luck out there.
Yeah, thanks, and thanks for everything you guys have done this season, broadcasting at SimTV, ERSCA, Pristine Auction. Man, I'm telling you, Johnny has got a great thing here. It is so much fun to race. All these guys are awesome. I'd like to thank everybody at RRM. Nick's a teammate of mine. Everybody at Chairgate and Belly Up Sports, Wingman Sports, everybody who was a part of it this year, man. Just an incredible season. Can't wait for February to come around.
All right, Chris, we'll see you around. Thanks for talking to us. Congratulations again. Going to move on now to our season champion, Nick Massey, the number 48. Fuel sputtering at the line, a gutsy call to win the championship. Nick, take us through the decision there. And what made you make that decision, and how nervous were you that it wasn't going to pay off?
I was pretty nervous there that whole run. I was just watching that the estimated fuel remaining and watching it tick down and pretty much be right on the borderline. I kind of just made the decision right off the bat. I knew it was going to be like 4 or 5 laps we needed to go. So probably like 2 or 3 laps into that run, I started clutching it, trying to save some fuel. And then I saw I wasn't losing a ton of time, so I started, backing it farther off and eventually shutting the car off completely, and just rolling. And then I saw the numbers were going to be really, really close, so I kind of just committed to that strategy, and luckily it all worked out because I was pretty nervous. I might have thrown it away there for a little bit. But
coming into the night, you were third in the points, 4 back from Scott Crump. Take me through your confidence level before the race, in the middle of the race, and in the last 10 laps. Where were the highs, where were the lows tonight? And did you think when you came into this evening that you'd be walking away with the trophy?
Well, right off the bat, we qualified, 2, 3, 4 on the grid. So I knew it was going to be, you have to win the stage and probably win the race to win the championship. And I know Scott's are really good at saving tires, and especially on like tracks like this where, the tires just wear so much and the fall off's massive. Scott's really good at that. So I knew you'd probably have to beat him tonight to win the championship. And then it's unfortunate he had that pit road incident because it was going to be a heck of a battle for between me, Chris, and Scott there for the championship. But once I saw everybody else starting to have issues there, kind of turned around for me in the middle of the race.
Nick, we want to wish you a huge congratulations here from SimTV. It looked like a lot of fun, a great strategy call, and great execution as well. That's not an easy thing to do, so we wish you the best. Enjoy it, and we'll see you around.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Let me just shout out real quick sponsors, if you don't mind.
Go for it, man.
Shout out to Brian and Wingman Sports for hopping on board this year. Glad we can bring it home. Shout out my cousin Chris, he's watching. Roommate Ben. All the guys in the league. It's been a great season. A lot of good drivers in here. It's been fun competing with them all year. And thanks for you guys for doing the broadcast.
Thanks so much, Nick. We appreciate that. We look forward to seeing you around again, and have a wonderful night.
Yep, you too.
All right, that'll wrap things up here, Connor, for a season of ERSCA, PristineAuction.com Series Racing. What a season. What a final race. What a way to send things off here on SimTV.
You kind of hate to see it go. You can't script it any better. The championship race comes down to a fuel strategy that no one thought was even possible. He had to save 4 to 5 laps to even get to the line sputtering, and I don't think there's anyone else in the field, not many other people in the sim at all, who can do what Nick Massey just did, to clutch up like that, figuratively and literally, to get that championship and the race win. That is like I said, the most bold the strategy for a championship you will ever see. Way to go, Nick.
That's going to do it for us tonight here on Sim TV. Thanks so much for watching. The next thing you're going to see, it will be tomorrow. I think we've got some fuel action tomorrow. Then I think we're done for an entire, well, at least for half a week until next Monday. We've got some more 3-wide action returning on Monday nights. But kind of a week off for me as I head down to Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas for World Challenge. I'll be commenting on some CrowdStrike racing live streams again. So you'll see that here on YouTube. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you later.